Hey y'all, it's Zylria, and I'm back again with another episode of How Did You Do That? Today we're going to be filming a little bit of a mix-up on tips and tricks for starting with nothing. I have noticed, not only with watching people do the Drifter Challenge and lots of other challenges, but especially starting out doing my Grassroots Challenge, that I've noticed that a lot of people don't know a lot of the tips and tricks that I know, and that a lot of the people that I know from the drifting community and that I'm friends with seem to know and use regularly. So I wanted to do a video to show you guys those tips and tricks so that hopefully you guys can enjoy not only my Grassroots Challenge, but other Start From Nothing challenges even more, because you'll know some of these tips and tricks. So we're going to jump right in and get started. As you can see in the thumbnail, this is my sim self. We're having play this out, and so we're going to jump in and get started. So as you can see on this lot, like, you're going to say, well, you're not really starting from nothing. Well, I wanted to put some of the stuff on the lot that I think is important for you to focus on earning money towards as some of your first purchases. Some of the other things that you can buy can come later, but these are the things that you need to begin with. Obviously, my sim self doesn't have no money, so maybe I'll set that just for purposes. Oh, geez. I don't even know how to do this. Sheets true. Okay, cool. So we'll just set her money to 0, even though that's not really important for showing you this. So I'm asleep right now in this tent. This is one of the things that I would use as a possible recommendation for something that you can buy as one of your first purchases. So one of the great things about this tent is, which I'll show you in live mode, is it does give you the ability to not only sleep in here, but you can also go in there and relax, or you can go in the tent and you can read nature journals, which does get your fun up. It does have a fun increase of 2, which basically buying a place to sleep can also get your fun up, which is a nice thing to have if that is something that you might do or might need. If you're not planning to get like a radio right at first or anything like that, this is a really nice way to be able to get your fun up. One thing that I don't like about it is that you're constantly getting alerts about these journals, these nature journals. Maybe after you've read all of them, they stop. I'm not 100% on that because I don't normally use the tent. I just know that it can be very helpful. Another thing that it's really great with is that you can put it in your pocket. So you can put it in your inventory, pick it up, put it in your inventory, and take it with you if you need to travel to go harvest, get some harvestables. If you need to travel to do things, you always can kind of carry your bed with you, which is really nice. The other thing that I really like, this is the bed that I normally get when I do a Drifter Challenge or I'm doing a Start From Nothing. This is the bed that I have all of my children from my founder couple and my Grassroots Challenge get, is this air mattress. The reason that I picked this one over any of the others is because even though it is a little bit more expensive, so you can get the kids bed at $240, the air mattress gives stress relief and energy, and it's not uncomfortable for adults. If you go with the $240, your Sims tend to be uncomfortable. And even though, you know, if you're not making money very quickly and you just really need a place to sleep, this will work. The thing I really don't like about it is I don't feel like it's any better than having them sleep on a bench. I would much rather just go for this air mattress that's a little bit more expensive, and have them be comfortable, sleep through the night, you know, feel pretty good about themselves. This is the cheapest toilet, cheapest shower, and cheapest sink. This is the toilet. It is uncomfortable, which, you know, I mean, it doesn't really give them like any, they don't really get upset about it. It's not really a big deal. I don't know why it even says uncomfortable. I've never noticed my Sims having any moodlets from sitting on this toilet. So this is the one that I always go for, $250. And this is usually the very first thing I buy in a Start For Nothing challenge is this 250 toilet, because there are places, like if you're in other areas, like if you were starting like in Newcrest for the grassroots challenge, if you decided to do the founder house with a start from nothing, there are public toilets nearby. The Drifter Challenge, House 1, starts here, and there are no public toilets. So this was my very first purchase, okay? The next thing that I usually buy is a shower. You can also buy a sink. Like, the sink is a little bit less expensive. It's $120. The shower is $275. Okay, so you can buy the sink and then just have them wash their hands a lot, or brush their teeth, and it will get their cleanliness down, or get their filthiness down, I guess, make them cleaner. And then you don't need to buy the shower, but I usually just go for the shower. I kind of like I like to do a little bit of a mix of get the essentials, but also make it kind of believable. I know that you could do like a sponge bath in the sink, I guess, so maybe it is believable. I don't know. I just usually get the shower, but if you want to get the sink, that is a nice tip, that you can just wash your hands over and over again, and it will get you clean. Which is really nice. And so these, again, are the cheapest items you can buy. It's usually what I go for. If you've watched my Drifter Challenge, I get this toilet, I put it in the back corner, and I move on. Another thing that I think that people don't know, of course, like this tent and the cooler, and actually the bed, are all from Outdoor Retreat. If I was going to get another bed, I would probably... If I couldn't do the Outdoor Retreat beds, I would probably just go ahead and get this Mod Pod sleeper. It does say that it's uncomfortable, but at least it doesn't have the extra uncomfortable for adults. It's just uncomfortable, so they'll get that like back moodlet, which is fine. You know, you save $15. So if you don't have Outdoor Retreat, that's what I would recommend. These are from Base Game. These 3 are from Base Game. Obviously, if you don't have Outdoor Retreat, you can't do the tent, and this cooler also won't apply to you. But the thing that I love about this cooler is, although the cooler doesn't act like a real cooler, like it's not like a refrigerator, you can't store things in it. So if you go to the grill, you make some food, you can't put it in the cooler. But what you can do is you can get food out of it for free. So you can do quick meals out of this. You can get granola, yogurt, and I think cereal for free. So it doesn't cost you anything after you purchase this, which can keep your Sims fed for a very long time. It's a little bit harder. It's like not what it's not really what they want to do. And if you do go over to a grill, you can't put it away in here. And so that's kind of inconvenient. And so some people, depending on how your money's flowing, you may think, you know, it's kind of a waste of money. I might as well go for the refrigerator, which is perfectly fine. You can also go for, of course, this used refrigerator, which is a great buy. So this is $145, and the used refrigerator is $215. Of course, you don't have the used refrigerator if you don't have City Living. But if you do, $215 isn't bad at all, and you can store your food, which is really nice. So those are kind of the things that I recommend that you focus on getting in the very beginning. Okay, so now we're going to go into live mode, but I'm going to leave it paused because there's a festival in town, and I don't want to lose being able to go, because going to the Romance Festival is another tip and trick that is very important, I think, for you to know. So we're going to look at my inventory. I have been doing some collecting, which is, to me, is one of the best ways to make money in this game. So basically what you do is you wander around your town and you look for things like this that you can click on and say you can harvest them, dig them, whatever. So if you have watched my Drifter Challenge, you've seen me do this a million times, or if you've played it, you can see. But if you just wander around here, you can see that there are so many things that you can pick up. This world isn't empty like the Drifter Challenge, but it still has all the same items. But look, so there's all of these harvestables all over the place. Now this right here is a frog hole, like a frog log. So if you click on it, you can look for frogs in it, and these frogs come out of there. Now these frogs can be bred, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. I just want to kind of show you how much stuff you can find. All of this stuff is sellable. A lot of the stuff you can replant. Of course, the plants, the seeds, all of that stuff you can replant and make more money on your own lot. Just, you know, growing it on your own. This is also a frog hole. This is the only place that I've seen this particular frog hole is in this world. In the other ones, they all look like logs as far as I have noticed. And then in most worlds, there are a lot of actual like little gardens where you can go and harvest all of this stuff or buy seeds, which is also a nice little trick. And in this area, there is actually a grill, which is nice, but obviously we don't have any money, so we can't really do anything with that. Okay, so let's talk about the frogs. So these two frogs right here are the frogs that you kind of want to get, which I don't know why they're at weird prices now. Maybe it's because they're not in my inventory, or I've been looking at them. Maybe they're sick and sad. I don't know. Because these are the top three frogs that you want to get. This frog is usually 120. I don't know why it says 196. This frog is 130 usually, or the $100 frog 125, and then this is normally the 160 frog, which maybe I wonder if I put this in my inventory if the price changes. She's so flirty from being in this tent now. It's very confusing. Okay, so let me just show you about breeding the frogs. I really wanted, okay, so I did actually harvest a 120 frog. Let's see, is that frog in my inventory? Yeah. Okay, so if you click on a frog in your inventory, you do want to try and look through all of the frogs in your inventory after you've harvested and find the most expensive frog, the frog that's worth the most. So in this case, it is this 128 frog. I'm going to click breed with frog, and then I'm going to look here, and I want to breed it with the second most expensive frog in my inventory. So that would be this dirt roll frog. I'm going to click that dirt roll frog, and it says Zylria has bred a new frog. And so you look in your inventory, and look, I bred the exact same frog that I already had. See, look, it's worth 160. I don't know why it depreciated out here. Okay, whatever. And so after you do that, what I normally do is I sell every other frog in my inventory. So every other frog in my inventory, I'm going to sell. And then just the stack of 2 is in there. You can breed frogs every 4 hours. You only need 2 frogs. You can sell every other frog. So next time I breed, I'm going to click breed with frog right here. Then I'm going to have 3 of these same frogs. I'm going to sell 1 and leave the rest in my inventory. Now, because this is the most expensive frog that you can get, these are the frogs I'm going to keep. If you do not have those, say you only have the $10 frogs, that's all you're finding, just keep breeding them until you find more expensive frogs. Then sell the cheaper frogs and keep the more expensive frogs for breeding, okay? So then the next thing when you're selling all of these items, I just want you to kind of, I went on a couple of tours. Like I've been in here trying to get fruit to spawn so that I could show you some of the things I want you to see I think she's probably been in here for 10 days, 10 sim days, of course. And so I've done a couple of rounds. I just wanted you to see how much money you can get just from harvesting, okay? So I sold those cheap frogs, already have $150. That's good. I could almost buy a toilet. Getting pretty close. So then you just look at the things that you can sell. Like these daisies are practically a weed, but I have over 100 of them. So $100 just from harvesting daisies. That's pretty darn good. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, a lot of people seem to think that opening these crates is what you should do. That's what I thought at first too. It's like, hey, you can open these. Better open them. However, the things that are inside them are those My Sim statues, which is great. There's only one My Sim statue, and it's very rare, that costs more than this crate. That's worth more than the crate. The likelihood that you're going to open something that's worth more than just selling the crate is very, very low. So I highly recommend that you just sell the crate. The crate on its own is worth $70. Don't open it, just sell it. Unless you're doing some sort of collecting thing, you're trying to do the curator aspiration, you're trying to collect everything, just sell it, okay? One thing that I don't think people ever do, though, is open the fossils. Now, I have found that, for the most part, fossils are worth more when you open them. So let's just see. So this fossil is worth $50. Sometimes they come out less, but let's just see how we do here. Okay, so we have opened all of our fossils. So yes, see, this fossil, $175. It would have been worth $50 if I had just sold it, but instead I opened it and now it's worth $175. Perfect. This one's worth $225. Amazing. This one worth $45. So we lost $5 on this one, but we gained almost $300 on the other two. It's always worth it to open the fossils. And then, of course, like things like these rocks, just sell them. Always sell them. And then I will talk. I'm just going to sell all of this stuff. And then I will talk about what I like to think of as the rule of thumb for me on gardening. So kind of how I feel about gardening is it just kind of depends on what you want to do. Like if you want to play your sim as a gardener, you want to have a huge garden, you want to have all sorts of things, go for that. Plant whatever you want to plant, grow whatever you want to grow, live your sim life however you want to live it. But if what you're trying to do is make as much money as possible while having a garden, I think that listening to what I have to say about this is going to really help you, unless, of course, you already know all of these tricks. Now, the very best fruit, the very best plant that you can grow in this game for money is dragon fruit. That's this right here. It doesn't have very many fruit on it right now, but dragon fruits are worth $23 each, just stock. You plant it in the ground, it grows. Each fruit is worth $23 each. Now, you can evolve it, and it will become worth much, much more the higher that you evolve it. Now, dragon fruit can be found at the Romance Festival in a planter's box, which I will show you in just a second, or you can also make it by, which that's these, but they didn't grow up all the way yet. Unfortunately, I wanted to show you. But this is a spliced snapdragon and strawberry plant that is going to make dragon fruit. And so if you have never seen a spliced plant before, basically what it is now it's going to grow into a tree, a bush, just like this dragon fruit bush, but it's going to have all of those plants on it. It's going to have dragon fruit, strawberries, and snapdragons on it. So once that is harvestable, you would take the dragon fruit off of it and plant it. Plant all the dragon fruit. Plant every dragon fruit you can plant. I like to say that having about 30 dragon fruit plants is kind of my safety zone. That's kind of where I like to be. If you're trying to do a lot of things like raise kids, or you can't have gardeners or anything like that, 10 is probably a better number. It's more manageable. Plus, it makes a lot of money still. But I like to stay in the 30 range. So the first thing that I do whenever I can start growing plants while I'm waiting for the Romance Festival is I grow as many strawberries and snapdragons as I can. These are what snapdragons look like. This is obviously a strawberry bush. And you go into this interaction to make them one with each other. You go in here. You do have to have your gardening to level 5. If you're starting from nothing, it's pretty easy to get to 5 because you're constantly harvesting and tending a garden. But you will do that. Take a clipping. Oh, I just told her to tend garden. That's not what I meant to do. Take a cutting from this dragon, the snapdragon, and then we're going to graft it over here onto the strawberry bush. And grafting it magically makes it a small plant that's something completely different. Okay, so now I want to travel to the Romance Festival real fast so that I can show you where those plants are at. So let's pull that up. We are going to travel right now, and we're going to go. Let's do it. So when I first started doing the Drifter Challenge, I had no idea that this planter box existed. It was told to me, and so I'm glad to be able to share my knowledge with you so that you can also use this tip. So over here, right over here, are all of these planter boxes. As soon as you get to the Romance Festival, they spawn up. They start growing plants, and look right here, dragon fruit. Amazing. This says that it's a lily because the game is borked, but basically what I do is I hang out at the Romance Festival for about a sim hour or so until you see that all of the plants look really full and lush. You want to stay as long as, you want to stay long enough that the plants are going to have as much fruit as they're going to produce. Because a lot of people, I don't think, understand that the plants don't spawn everything all at once. At the Romance Festival, this is like sped up, so they don't normally grow this quickly. They don't normally get fruit this quickly. What is this? I don't know what this is exactly, but it's not growing anything. Nothing is on it. Okay, well, I'm going to cue her over here to just harvest this stuff. I just want you to see how much money can be made just from harvesting a couple of dragon fruit plants. We'll speed her up here. My inventory is kind of full, but I don't normally have a lot of this stuff in here, so we shouldn't see much stacking. So this will pretty much be from the festival. Just have her harvest everything that's over here. This is normally what I do. One thing that I do want to point out, though, is that the Romance Festival doesn't always have the same stuff. The other festival that is good to go to is the Spice Festival. It does a lot of the time have... What is this? I don't know what it is. It does a lot of the time have dragon fruit and that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, it's a cow plant! It has a cow plant berry on it. How exciting. Okay. Well... I've never seen that before. Well, let's go home. But so we harvested 30 dragon fruits. Oh, okay. So there actually were 16 to begin with. I'm sorry, I lied to you. I had already evolved the ones at my house once so that I could show you the difference. So dragon fruit are normally worth $16 each. But then on their first evolution, they become worth $23 each. And so that's just on one evolution. I've only evolved them for this video one time. That's a significant difference. And so at $16 each, 30 dragon fruit is already worth almost $500. I mean, that's amazing. And so I plant all of them. As soon as I come back from a festival, I plant every single one of them unless I'm dying for money. In which case, I would maybe sell half and half. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sell half, plant half. So, since I already have some, we'll just sell these. So, we'll have her come over here and plant these. Okay, so here's my other tips for gardening. I know I said I was going to tell you earlier, but then we went to the festival. I was worried it was going to close and we weren't going to get to go. So... if you're just trying to plant for money, what I like to do is, of course, I'm going to plant all of my strawberries. I'm going to find as many snapdragons as I can, and I'm going to plant all of those. Everything else, I judge by how much they're worth. Lemons are only worth 2 each. They're not really worth my time to plant, unless I want them for some reason. I typically do not, unless the only thing in my inventory, if you started here, you couldn't have any dragon fruit, you couldn't find snapdragons, all you had was the stuff that's in your inventory, I plant everything. I plant everything until I have something going. So if all I could find was, what is worth 1? Mushrooms are, but I don't have any mushrooms. Daisies. All I could find was daisies. I'd plant 30 daisy bushes, and then as soon as I could plant chrysanthemums, I would plant those instead and delete my daisy bushes. That's kind of how I do it. Chrysanthemums I like to decorate with because they're worth quite a bit of money and they're pretty. I do the same thing with lilies and with roses. So instead of buying shrubbery when I'm decorating a house, I plant flowers because they make me money and they look nice. Then I also really like to, in the Grassroots Challenge, of course, you plant things that you're going to eat because you need to eat off the land also. But even when I'm playing like the teens and the children's household, which if you haven't looked at the Grassroots Challenge, you're not doing it. Basically, the teens are required, once they move on their lot, they start from nothing, they're required to eat raw. They can only eat things they can harvest. They can't cook anything, they can't eat quick meals, they can't do anything like that. And so what I do in that case is I eat the cheapest food in my inventory, which in this case is carrots or tomatoes. But like I wouldn't eat onions because they're worth $3. And I mean, I could eat strawberries, that's fine. And the sage is fine because they're all worth the same amount. But if I had mushrooms in my inventory, which are only worth $1, I would eat all the mushrooms and nothing else. I would sell everything. So like, as just kind of a wrap up, I just want to tell you a couple of, like, just recap some of the things that we've discussed. One of the things that I want you to get out of this video, one of the things I want you to get out of this video is that gardening makes a lot of money. It makes a lot of money. Gardening and what I call drifting, so harvesting, running around looking for things to sell, buy, grow, makes a lot of money. I have never had a drifter get a job because I just make money off the land. I always just garden. I, of course, like do painting and stuff like that later on once I can afford it. But you can make so much money gardening. Just I mean, these aren't fully ready, but each plant will get 8 dragon fruit. And so, if you can get all of your dragon fruit worth $30 or more, and you are getting 8 off of each one, I mean, gosh, you're making so much money off of every plant. Every plant is making so much money. So if you upgrade your dragon fruit to the 3rd level, evolve them to the 3rd level, they're making almost $300 per plant every time you harvest. That's once a week. So if I have 30 of those going, so $300 times 30, once a week, I'm making $9,000 on just my dragon fruit just because I evolved them. I mean, it's so much money. It's worth it. It's just really the way to go. It's like how I make money in almost every game file, unless I'm like living in the city or something. It's my favorite thing to do in the game. That and breeding frogs. Of course, I am always breeding frogs in all of my save files also. So you can breed frogs every 4 hours. It's instant. They're automatically bred. You can sell them instantly. You want to harvest your garden once a week is what I would recommend. Some of your plants do grow faster, like the mushrooms. Mushrooms do grow faster. You can harvest them a couple times a week. But to make sure that all of the fruit are on your plant when you harvest it, you want to just harvest it once a week. That's how you're going to make the most money and be the most successful with gardening and making money off of that. It does kind of take you have to be kind of dedicated to make money from harvesting or from gardening because you have to pay attention. You want to kind of stay on a schedule. It's like, okay, we need to water today. We haven't watered. We need to make sure we're reading. We need to do the bug spraying thing. Make sure she's tended the garden. What day of the week do we harvest? It's just you just kind of need to pay a little bit of attention, but it really, really, really is worth it. So I think that is pretty much all the tips and tricks that I have. I love how the garden just pops up. You water it and then it's like, we're alive. I think that is kind of all the advice I can really give you for starting from nothing. I don't know that I have anything else to add. But if you do have any questions, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. I will answer any of your questions. I can do a follow-up video to this one to answer all of your questions. If you have any comments about it, if you want me to do anything else with this tutorial, please let me know. I do read all of your comments and I take them all into consideration and to heart. So thank you so much for joining me. If you want to see any of this craziness live, please join me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Zylria. And of course, if you're liking what's happening here, please hit that subscribe button. I do really, really appreciate it. And follow me on Twitter for all of the updates. And I love you all to pieces. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.